the superpower that became a cage, and how softness set me free. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French, and I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. I recently had the profound honor of sitting down with Christina Fernandez, a woman whose life reads like a love letter to resilience and a middle finger to impossibility. Christina is not just surviving, she's thriving, leading, and lifting others as she goes. Her story, her strength, and her unwavering faith have touched countless lives, and she's proof that you can face the unthinkable and still come back with your head high, your heart open, and your purpose clear. Today, I want to share the wisdom she offered because it's wisdom we all need to hear, to hold, and to carry forward. You know that feeling when you've been strong for so long that you forget what it feels like to just be? When your survival instincts are so sharp they could cut glass, but your soul is so tired it can barely whisper? When you've been holding it together so tightly that you don't even know what would happen if you let go? Yeah, that's where a lot of us live. Mentors and Christina's insights reminded all of us that resilience isn't just about making it through, it's about what happens after. It's about transformation. It's about coming out the other side and realizing you're not the same person who went in. And that's not a tragedy, that's a triumph. Let me tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. Resilience is not just survival, it's transformation. And I need you to sit with that for a second because we've been sold a lie. We've been told that if we just keep going, keep pushing, keep showing up with our capes on and our game faces intact, that's enough. That's strength. That's what makes us worthy. But Christina reminded me during our conversation that true resilience isn't about how long you can hold your breath underwater. It's about coming up for air, changed, stronger, and with a deeper sense of purpose. It's not about enduring until you break, it's about transforming so you don't have to break again. Think about Dr. Tamika Cross for a moment. You might remember her story, and if you don't, buckle up because it's one of those stories that makes your blood boil and your heart swell at the same time. Dr. Cross is a Black physician, a woman who spent years in medical school, residency, sleepless nights, impossible exams, and relentless pressure to earn the right to be called doctor. She was on a flight when a passenger had a medical emergency. She stood up to help because that's what doctors do. That's what healers do. But the flight attendants looked at her, this young Black woman, and said, "We're looking for actual medical personnel." Actual medical personnel. Let that sink in. They looked at a doctor and saw what? A fraud, a pretender, someone who couldn't possibly know what she was doing because of the color of her skin and the softness of her face. They doubted her credentials. They doubted her capacity. They doubted her right to serve simply because of how she looked. And here's the thing: Dr. Cross had already overcome significant barriers in her journey to become a physician. She had been underestimated, dismissed, and subjected to microaggressions throughout her training. This wasn't new. This was a pattern. This was the world telling her again that she didn't belong. Now, Dr. Cross could have sat back down. She could have swallowed that humiliation, tucked it away with all the other indignities, and kept quiet. But she didn't. She spoke out. She shared her story publicly, and it sparked a national conversation about racial bias in healthcare and airline policies. Delta Airlines revised its policies to better recognize medical professionals of all backgrounds. Dr. Cross became a vocal advocate for diversity in medicine, and countless Black professionals found the courage to share their own stories of being underestimated, overlooked, and undervalued. That's transformation. That's taking a moment of pain and turning it into a movement. That's resilience that doesn't just survive the blow, it redirects the energy into something that changes systems, that opens doors, that says, you will not do this to the next person. Dr. Cross didn't just heal from that moment, she used it to heal an entire industry's blind spots. That's power, that's purpose. That's what happens when survival becomes transformation. And here's the thing Christina emphasized during our interview, and I want you to really hear this. Your circumstances do not define your destiny. Let me say that again for the people in the back and for the woman who's been carrying the weight of her past like a stone in her pocket, like a scar she's ashamed to show. Your circumstances do not define your destiny. You can lose everything. You can be written off. You can be judged, dismissed, doubted. You can face loss that brings you to your knees. You can be told you're not enough, you're too much, you're too broken, you're too loud, you're too soft. And still, you can reclaim your narrative and rise with dignity and faith. You can rewrite the ending. You can take back the pen. Let me introduce you to Stephanie Johnson. Stephanie became the first Black female captain for Delta Airlines. The first, do you know what that means? It means every single day she walked into a cockpit where no one who looked like her had sat in that seat before. She faced systemic barriers. She faced a lack of representation. She faced the kind of scrutiny that makes you question whether you're good enough, whether you belong, whether this dream is even possible, or if you're just fooling yourself. Stephanie was raised by parents who encouraged her to pursue her dreams despite stereotypes. They told her that the limitations other people tried to place on her were not hers to carry. They told her she belonged in the sky. But even with that foundation, even with that love, she still had to persist through rigorous training. She still endured constant scrutiny. She still carried the pressure of breaking barriers, of knowing that every mistake would be magnified, every success minimized, every move watched. And she did it. She became captain. And now she mentors young women of color who are interested in aviation. She's showing them that representation matters, that they belong in the sky, that their dreams are valid, that the door she kicked open is theirs to walk through. Stephanie didn't let her circumstances, her lack of role models, or the doubt of others define her destiny. She defined it herself. And Christina's words during our interview echoed this truth. You get to write your story, you get to decide what comes next. You are not a victim of your past. You are the author of your future. But here's where it gets even deeper. And this is the part that made me sit back and just breathe. Christina shared something with me that I think is the heartbeat of this entire conversation. Service and strength go hand in hand. True empowerment comes from using your renewed strength to uplift others, becoming a servant leader and a beacon of hope for your community. You see, it's not enough to just survive and transform for yourself. I mean, it's beautiful, it's necessary, it's powerful. But the real power, the real purpose comes when you turn around and extend your hand to the person still climbing. When you use your story, your scars, your strength to light the way for someone else. When you say, I made it through and so can you. Let me show you how. Dr. Nadine Burke Harris is a perfect example of this. She's California's first Surgeon General, and she's a survivor of childhood adversity. Dr. Burke Harris faced significant trauma in her early life, adverse childhood experiences that statistically correlate with long term health challenges, with cycles of poverty, with limited life expectancy. She could have buried that pain. She could have pretended it didn't shape her. She could have climbed to the top and never looked back. But instead, she used her personal experience and her medical expertise to pioneer research on the impact of trauma on health. She advocated for trauma informed care. She changed how healthcare professionals approach and treat patients with histories of trauma. Her work has influenced policy and practice nationwide. She didn't just heal herself, she created pathways for healing for countless families. She took her pain and turned it into policy. She took her trauma and turned it into transformation, not just for herself, but for generations. That's servant leadership. That's using your renewed strength to uplift others. That's what it looks like when you refuse to let your pain be wasted. And Christina embodies this so deeply. She's not just a woman who has overcome, she's a woman who is actively creating space for others to overcome. She's a beacon of hope. She's proof that you can face health crises, abuse, social adversity, and still come back not just intact, but transformed, purposeful, and powerful. She's proof that the worst thing that ever happened to you doesn't have to be the last thing that defines you. Now, I want to talk about something that came up in my conversation with Christina Fernandez that I think we need to sit with, even if it makes us squirm a little. How are you learning to be soft in a world that taught you survival? Because here's the truth: a lot of us have been in survival mode for so long that we don't even know what softness feels like anymore. We've been taught that softness is weakness, that rest is laziness, that saying no is selfish, that boundaries are rude, that if we're not grinding, we're not worthy, that if we're not bleeding, we're not trying hard enough. But what if softness is actually the most radical act of self love you can commit? What if rest is resistance? What if saying no is the most honest thing you can say? What if boundaries are the foundation of your peace, not the destruction of your relationships? What if the cape you've been wearing is actually a cage and taking it off is the only way you'll ever fly? Christina's story and the stories of Dr. Cross, Stephanie Johnson, and Dr. Burke Harris all point to this truth. You can be strong and soft. You can be resilient and rest. You can be a leader and still need support. You can be a survivor and still be tender. You can be powerful and still ask for help. These things are not opposites, they are companions. They are the full spectrum of what it means to be human, to be whole, to be free. And I think that's what the soft girl era is really about. It's not about giving up your strength, it's about redefining it. It's about dropping the cape, not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know that you were never meant to carry the world on your shoulders alone. It's about saying, I survived and now I'm going to thrive. I endured and now I'm going to enjoy. I held on and now I'm going to let go. Christina reminded me that faith is a foundation, that healing is not a destination, it's a practice. That you can be in the process of becoming and still be whole, that your worth is not tied to your productivity, that your value is not determined by how much you can endure, that you are loved not because of what you do, but because of who you are. And who you are is enough. Who you are is more than enough. Who you are is everything. So here's what I need you to do: not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when the conditions are perfect. Right now, today, I want you to take one step to reclaim your power, whether it's seeking support, sharing your story, or advocating for yourself and others. Commit to a single action that moves you from survival to strength and service. Just one step. That's all. Not 10, not a 5 year plan. Just one honest, brave, soft step toward the life you deserve, the life you've been dreaming of, the life that's been waiting for you to finally say yes. Maybe it's saying no to something that drains you. Maybe it's saying yes to something that fills you. Maybe it's reaching out to someone who's been where you are and asking for help. Maybe it's sitting in silence and just breathing, just being, just existing without the pressure to perform or produce or prove. Maybe it's forgiving yourself for something you've been carrying for too long. Maybe it's letting go of a relationship that's been taking more than it gives. Maybe it's starting therapy. Maybe it's taking a nap without guilt. Maybe it's dancing in your living room. Maybe it's crying in your car. Maybe it's finally admitting that you're tired. And that's okay. And that doesn't make you weak, it makes you honest. Christina Fernandez's life is a testament to the fact that resilience is not just survival, it's transformation. That your circumstances do not define your destiny. That service and strength go hand in hand. And that you, yes, you have the power to come back changed, stronger, and with a deeper sense of purpose. You are not broken. You are breaking through. You are not falling apart. You are falling into place. You are not losing yourself. You are finding yourself finally, fully, fearlessly. You're not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what you do next. You are not your trauma. You are not your loss. You are not your pain. You are the woman who survived it. You are the woman who transformed it. You are the woman who is using it to light the way for someone else. You are the woman who said, not on my watch, not to the next girl, not anymore. And that is the soft girl era. That is the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. That is the revolution we're leading. One boundary at a time, one no at a time, one exhale at a time, one soft moment at a time. So take off the cape, set down the weight, say no without guilt, rest without explanation, heal without apology, cry without shame, laugh without permission, dance without reason, love without fear, and step into your soft girl era. Not because you're giving up, but because you're finally choosing yourself. And that, my love, is the most powerful, most disruptive, most transformative thing you can do. Not just for you, but for every woman watching, waiting, wondering if she can do it too. Show her. Be the proof. Be the permission. Be the power. Now go. Your soft life is waiting.